Are you a basketball player that wants to stand out to coaches? If so, one of the things that coaches love to see in players is being a great on-ball defender. So today I'm going to share something simple that you can focus on that'll make you a much better on-ball defender. Let's jump in and discuss. Welcome back to Hard Smart Together. I'm Coach Dave. I'm here every week to help basketball players become the smart, confident players that coaches love. So today we are talking about defense, and more specifically on-ball defense. And, you know, as a player, you probably have to admit, most of the time that you spend working on your game is on the offensive end. Most of the time it's probably shooting, but you probably throw in some ball handling, maybe some passing, but it's typically on the offensive end that we work on our game. So today I want to talk about defense. I talk about defense in some past episodes as well, but it's important. And today I'm going to share what's a really simple thing to focus on when you're an on-ball defender that's going to help you be a better on-ball defender and make you stand out to coaches. So speaking of standing out to coaches, I always make a free gift available to you just for joining me. So today I'm making a free gift available. It is what I think are the 8 most important intangible skills that you can possess as a basketball player. It really makes you stand out as a teammate, makes you stand out to coaches. And these are simple things that you can implement and you can practice. But go ahead and download my free checklist. This checklist has not just the intangible skills that we're talking about, but a little bit of a guide on how to implement them. A couple of things that you can do to show off each one of these skills. So you can either scan the QR code below, you can, I'll put a link below in the description as well, or if you're on the podcast, simply go to hardsmarttogether.com/intangibles. Again, it's hardsmarttogether.com/intangibles, and I'll get you that free checklist. So the simple thing that I wanted to share today is something that you can focus on in order to be a better on-ball defender. And what is that thing that you should focus on? And that is the ideal amount of pressure to put on the ball. Now, there's different levels of pressure that you can put on the ball. We'll cover those 3 kind of different levels of pressure, and then we'll talk about the ideal level of pressure. But before I do, I just want to mention, if you're a smart basketball player, the best thing you can do is listen to your coach, because your coach might have either a defensive philosophy, or it might be, game situation driven, and they may be instructing you to apply different pressures at different times during the game. So whatever your coach is telling you to do, you should do that. Why? Because your coach controls your playing time. Your coach controls your career right now. So do what your coach wants. Don't argue with them and say, oh, I watched this video and Coach Dave told me that the ideal pressure. No, whatever your coach says to do, that's what a smart player does. So now, with that said, the ideal pressure that we're going to talk about is something to use any other time that your coach hasn't given you specific instructions on what pressure to put on the ball. That might be during games, that might be during open gyms, that might be during practices, whatever the case might be. Utilizing this thought process of what's the ideal pressure is going to help you stand out in all those situations, and typically it'll stand out to coaches. So what is that ideal pressure? Well, let's talk about the 3 different levels of pressure. First of all, there is kind of backing off your man and just, giving them space. If you're backing off the ball and giving space, that might be dictated. Your coach might want you to do that because you're up big in a game. Doesn't want to risk, easy drives to the basket or fouls, things of that nature. So there's a reason sometimes for, giving space. But again, that's up to your coach and their decision. The other extreme is just all out in their grill pressure. Now, that might be you're down at the end of a game and you need to get up in their face. You need to get up in their grill. You might have to gamble at some steals, which might get you called for some fouls. It might also allow easy drives, but there might be a game situation or a coach's philosophy that gets you up in their grill and takes those chances. But in between those two is an ideal pressure, and that's what we're going to talk about today. It can be kind of your ideal default pressure. So what is that? And how is it something that I can give you something that you can easily remember what the ideal pressure is? Well, you might be surprised that we can learn something to apply on the basketball court from a Seinfeld clip. I don't know if you've seen old episodes of Seinfeld, but we're going to use a Seinfeld clip to see what's the ideal pressure to apply in on-ball defense. So let's jump into the clip and then we'll come back and chat about it.
I have a friend who works at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. How'd you like a behind-the-scenes tour?
Really? You could do that?
Easily.
It wouldn't be any trouble?
Of course not.
When would it go?
How about right now? I'm ready.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, let me get my coat.
Elaine, what do you say?
Well, I don't think so, Aaron. I have plans.
Oh. How about you, Jerry?
I'm swamped.
You sure? Could examine the artwork up close.
Maybe I'll try and catch up with you.
So I don't know if you've ever seen that episode of Seinfeld. I don't know if you've ever seen Seinfeld, some of you. But one of my favorite shows. That particular episode was about one of Elaine's boyfriends that they said was a close talker. Now, I don't know if you've ever experienced somebody like this out there in the world as well, but a close talker is somebody that just kind of gets in your personal space. They make you feel uncomfortable. They get a little too close for comfort. They're just right in your face and man, it just bothers me how close they got, right? Not bothered you enough as you saw the show for anybody to say, wait, back up, buddy, but just enough that it was just, they were annoying. They got into their personal bubble space that we all have that's comfortable to have a conversation. So that is something for you to kind of visualize and think when you are playing defense. That doesn't mean I want you right in front of their face as close as he was when having a conversation. But what I do want you to think is how uncomfortable he made people feel from being a close talker. And that is your goal as an on-ball defender. Your goal as an on-ball defender, the ideal ball pressure, is to make the ball handler feel uncomfortable. Feel your presence. So you want them to kind of be bothered by you. Different from that all-out pressure where you're gambling and you might foul them or you might let them by on an easy drive. Very different from that, just letting them sit back and have space to do whatever they want on the court. This is that place that's in between, that place where you have injected yourself into the consciousness of the ball handler. So what does that do when you get into their private space and inject yourself into your consciousness? The beauty with that is you give them the opportunity to make mistakes. Why? Because they have to worry about you as much as they have to worry about handling the ball, as they have to worry about organizing their team, as they have to worry about the pass that they're going to make. You're making it more difficult for them to dribble, to shoot, to pass, especially like passes into the post. You give them space, they can easily kind of, okay, where am I going to pass? Oh, I got the post. Or passes on the perimeter. Okay, I'm going to make an easy pass. Or You give them enough space, and they don't have to worry about you. They can just stand there and dribble and organize their team and run an offense and call out the play and everything. You have to be in their consciousness. You have to be like that close talker that really bothered them. You have to bother the ball at all times. So that's really your ideal pressure, and that's the pressure that I want you to start applying, whether you're playing open gyms, playing on the playground, whether you're playing, in a game. Unless your coach has given you different instructions for your on-ball pressure, that's your ideal pressure. Your ideal pressure is that which injects yourself into their personal space, injects yourself into the ball handler's consciousness, and bothers them enough to where they can make mistakes. They might just make mistakes. You're forcing them to make mistakes just from your presence in front of them. So that is what to focus on when you are an on-ball defender. That was your tip for the week. I hope it was useful. I love hearing from you. So if this was a useful tip, please leave me a comment below. If you have seen a difference, maybe you're going to experiment a little bit with your ball pressure and lay off sometimes and get up in their grill other times, and then kind of try and experiment with the ideal ball pressure. Let me know how that goes for you. Leave a comment below. So until next week, remember to play hard, remember to play smart, and play together. See you next week.